Now, we have enough testimonies in this room alone where all of you have started out with good intentions but could not sustain the effort. And the reason is that most of us try to live the Christian life, we try to live Christian morality without fully understanding who we are in Christ. What you do flows out of who you are. Your character determines your behavior. So the first thing that Paul wants us to understand, what he wanted the Ephesians to understand, is who you are. Do you know who you are? If you know who you are, then you will know how to live in any circumstances, because our life, our choices are not informed by the society in which we live, but by our identity in Christ. Now, to do that, Paul does his old preacher trick. Paul begins with himself. He begins with a part where we will all agree with him. He says he's apostle. We know this. Now, you have to watch Paul because he does this all the time. He does the old thing of getting the congregation to agree with him. He'll start with something that everybody, he does this in chapter 5 when he talks about marriage. He knows he's going to give us some of the most radical teaching about what a Christian marriage looks like. It's going to be totally opposite to what their culture is teaching them. It is a brand new teaching about marriage. It is radically based on Christ's relationship with the church. So Paul, knowing he's going to introduce a difficult subject, begins with where everybody agree with him. He begins with the women. Right? Wives, obey your husband. What's every husband in the church just done? Baby, are you listening to this man? He's an apostle. He's sent here from God. I hope you're paying attention to him. And he goes on, for the husband is head of the house. Don't you wish he'd put a period there? He didn't. As Christ is head of the church. Husbands, love your wives. Don't you wish he'd put a period there? As Christ loved the church. Well, how did Christ love the church? He died for the church. He gave his life for the church. Well, what are you going to do if you're a husband? You've already told your wife this. He's an apostle. He's a man sent from God. So in order to help you understand who you are, Paul begins by telling you who he is. I am an apostle, sent by the will of God to you. I am God's person sent to you with God's message. I didn't volunteer for this. In fact, if you want to understand anything about Paul, you have to understand he's always being sent.